Zimbabwean President Emerson Mnangagwa has said the government will soon introduce measures to halt the rapid devaluation of the local currency. The move would include, quote, measures to increase confidence in the local unit. The South African country's currency officially trades at $159, well, of the local currency to the dollar, $159 to the dollar, but changes hands in the streets of the capital for as much as $400 to the greenback. Joining us to discuss this matter is Batanai Matsika, who is the head of research at investment bank Morgan & Co. In Zimbabwe. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. You just released a new market intelligence report titled The Next Move, where you talk about foreign exchange and inflation in Zimbabwe. There is a quote from the report, which I think we should take a look at. It says, the issue at hand is that the exchange rate in Zimbabwe has gone haywire and prices are skyrocketing. Can you take us through what's led to this?
Okay. So, yeah, the report is titled Predicting the Next Move. So quite clearly, as you highlight, I mean, there's been a lot of volatility in terms of price levels. So you find that when we opened or started the year in January, the rate in terms of the parallel market rate was at around 220 thereabout. But at the moment, we're now looking at rates of about 450 against the US dollar. So which points to a significant deterioration in the local unit, which is the ZWL. So what we're picking from the ground, where we actually analyze the market, we find that there's been a lot of money supply growth within the economy. We find that there's been a lot of infrastructure projects happening in terms of roads being constructed. So when that happens, there's been some injection of ZWLs within the economy. So that has pushed the rates up simply because there's a lack of confidence in the local currency. So you find that even if economic agents are to receive ZWLs, they tend to convert them or demand more US dollars so that they preserve value given the inflationary environment that we're seeing.
Thank you so much for that. So President Mnangagwa has said that the government will soon introduce measures to halt that rapid devaluation of the local currency and improve confidence in that currency. You have some options in your report. I think we'll put that up. I mean, as far as the options are concerned, what do you think? I think you put them as multiple choice. Yeah. So here they are. They can ban the use of the US dollar. They can join the Rand monetary area, I think in Southern Africa, drop the local currency and fully dollarize, or do nothing. So can you take us through what options the nation has?
Okay, so what monetary authorities and what the government has put out in the public is to say that they are going to pursue a de-dollarization process whereby they are going to be moving away from the US dollar over time. But of course, if you then look at what they can do in terms of the key measures or drastic statutory instruments, I think they're quite limited, and which is why we've set out the various options and assessed the possibilities of them playing out. So the first would be ban the US dollar. So of course, this we think that is very unlikely, given that a lot of production has actually been pushed because of the multi-currency regimes. Companies can actually price in US dollars, so that has helped the economy. And also in 2019, I think the government tried to do that through a statutory instrument, and it actually failed. So that is not an option. It's very unlikely to happen. And then the second one is to join the Rand Monetary Union, which is sort of a model that was implemented by other countries, such as your Namibia. We feel that it is a bit too late to pursue that. I think it was possible or relevant around 2019. We don't think that will happen. So it's very unlikely as well. Dropping the ZWL or the local currency unit is also not an option at this point in time, given that, it's also an avenue for monetary authorities in Zimbabwe to have a grip on the financial system. So I think from government sentiments that they are putting out, I think they'll continue to defend the local currency. So we don't think that will happen. So at the moment, I think the government will not do or pursue any drastic measures in terms of changing the monetary regime, simply because there are a lot of issues involved, socio-economic issues, and also political as well, given that we are entering an election season. So we think that there's going to be no movement in terms of major shifts in the monetary regime. But however, we feel there's going to be some sort of firefighting measures where they would also try and promote the use of the ZWL. Of course, we've seen them pushing for payment of taxes in the local currency unit, and also payment of duty to just try and help the economy in terms of the demand for the ZWL.
Thank you so much for that. Your report, you've got a chart. It's pretty scary. And if you forecasted your inflation trend in Zimbabwe for the full year, there it is, 338% by the end of the year. Is this mostly FX driven?
Yes, it's mostly FX driven. What we've done with that mode is basically a scenario. We've said, let's just take the month-on-month inflation rate that was reported recently of 15.5%, and saying, okay, let's just maintain that to say that that's going to be a measure of the depreciation of the ZWL over the next 8 months. If that plays out, or we continue to see those pressures on the inflation front, definitely we're going to see an uptick in terms of the year-end inflation figure hitting around 338%, and also the exchange rate deteriorating to around 850 against the USD. So it's mostly, yes, exchange rate driven. Of course, you find that a lot of price levels are a result of the pass-through effect of the exchange rate. Of course, there are other global risks that we're continuing to see, especially on the food prices. Food price levels and energy prices are actually being influenced, of course, by the crisis, the Russia and Ukraine tensions. So there are a lot of pressures, not only from the global perspective, but in country, that could actually push price levels up.
Thank you so much for that. I want to ask you about the informal economy. There's another excerpt from your report. Let's put that up here, where you say that an important fact is that the Zimbabwe economy is now largely informal, and it's very difficult for monetary authorities to police the exchange rates through statutory instruments. So looking at that quote from your report, which we'll put that up there, there it is. How big of a task is it to get the informal economy, I guess, formalized into the formal economy for the benefit of data, taxes, et cetera, et cetera?
Okay, so let me just take you back. You find that if you're looking at the economic growth trajectory in Zimbabwe, if you're looking at 2019 and 2020, we were sort of in a recession, given that we were affected by the drought, also affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So those 2 years, sort of, we were in a dip in terms of the GDP growth that was recorded. So you find that there are a lot of issues that then came up in terms of an increase in poverty levels and also a fall in disposable incomes. So what that caused was an increase of informal activity in terms of the employment levels were actually on the low side. So that encouraged people to sort of start their own businesses, what we call RSBs, roadside businesses and the like. So we were seeing a proliferation of these informal sector businesses that are actually helping in a way in terms of disposable incomes and also supporting households. But also, if you then look at the tax environment for the formal businesses, really, they're quite on the high side. We have income tax, we have money transfer tax and the like. So it sort of discourages economic agents to be formal, and it has led to an increase in the formalization of the economy. So we're sitting here and we are analyzing an economy where monetary authorities are pushing certain measures, certain policies, certain statutory instruments, but they are limited in the sense that they can only do that on the formal side. On the informal sector, what we see is pricing remains, for example, pricing of goods and services remains primarily in US dollars. If ever there's a transaction happening in ZWL, that is benchmarked against a parallel market rate. So it becomes very difficult then to sort of police things on the informal side. So, of course, there's that opportunity to say, let's then try to formalize the informal sector and bring them in the mainstream economy so that we can have a better grip on what's happening in Zimbabwe. I think it's a tough call. It's quite of a challenge in the sense that, like I indicated, issues to do with taxes that come with formal business is actually, a deterrent in terms of the strategy there. So what we feel as Morgan & Co. research is the government should look at ways of supporting SMEs, whether they are formal or informal, so that they can get sort of access to financing and upgrade their businesses, and also put in place incentives so that, probably people can be encouraged to move to the formal economy. But as it is, I think it's a mammoth task.
Hey, we're facing the same issues across a number of African nations. Thank you so much for your time. Batanai Matsika, Head of Research at Morgan & Co. Investment Bank. We appreciate you talking to us about the Zimbabwean economy.